having the patience to sit with the space and figure out what it actually needs and what will serve it is really difficult. And I found that when I moved into the house that I'm in now, I just wanted everything done on the first day. I wanted everything unpacked. It takes a little bit more time, obviously, but it does mean that what you're going to end up with is a space that is thought through and that really, really works.
Welcome to Style Stories, brought to you by Easy Living Interiors, helping you transform your space and create the feeling of home. Today, we are in our incredible garden room in our Sandyford flagship store, and I'm joined by none other than the brilliant Jo Linehan. Jo is editor of climate at the Sunday Times and sustainability columnist at Irish Country magazine. Jo is a passionate advocate for conscious living, and through her writing and projects, she's helping to shape a more sustainable future for interiors, fashion and beyond. From founding Gaff Interiors and Gaff Shop to hosting the Futurist podcast, Jo brings depth, style and purpose to everything she does. We're so excited to dive into it, so let's go.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. And what do you think of our garden room?
I think it's absolutely stunning. If you could just transfer this into my garden, I would be so happy. Imagine having this. It's absolutely incredible.
Gorgeous.
I feel like I'm outside. You've got flowers, plants, everything.
Yeah, our store VM, Sarah John, she's unbelievably talented. So this is her work on full show. So let's kick things off with some introductory questions. So, you're currently living in a beautiful 1920s home in Dublin. What drew you to that property and what changes have you made to make it your own?
Well, what drew me to the property was just needing somewhere to move to. I was moving out of a shared accommodation and a friend of a friend told me about this house, and honestly, initially I was like, I just need somewhere to live, and I didn't give it too much thought. But when I went to see the home, I fell in love with it. It's got an amazing piece for being so central and being so much in the city. There's a quietness and a stillness there. It has a beautiful garden, and don't get me wrong, it's very rough around the edges. It needs a lot of love, but it has a gorgeous feeling there, and the features are gorgeous. It has really high, ceilings, beautiful original coving, a bay window, just the little things like that make it feel unique. And it's in such a beautiful kind of an old neighbourhood. Like, we have a butcher, we have a bakery, a little shop. It feels like its own little world. I'm very, very lucky to be renting there. Obviously, when you're renting, it's difficult to do things that are too permanent. So I've tried to be very strategic. Like, I thought about how I use the space, and the living room is my favourite room in the whole house. I love movies, so every single night I'm watching movies, streaming TV shows. So I wanted to make that space feel really special. So I replaced the sofa. I love the sofa there. I have a lot of my planting in there. I have a lot of artwork that I love. But then in other rooms that are less used, like there's a spare room that I kind of use for storage and for other things, and like I haven't invested there. So I think when you're renting, you kind of need to figure out what spaces do I really want to make the most of, and kind of focus your, I guess, investment and your time into that, and then be clever. Like, I would love to, do the bathroom, and I did speak about it with my partner Mike, because it really needs some love. But I think when you're renting, you need to be practical and think, okay, I might only be here for another couple of years. So picking and choosing and just making the most of the areas that you really want to spend time in.
And it's what you can take with you. So a sofa you can have for life, and it's an investment piece, and it's like a core part of a living room. But a bathroom sink you can't take,
unfortunately, no.
So no, I know what you mean. And when you're renting, it's balancing, and you can sit there for days being like, I'd do this and I'd restructure that and I'd extend this. And like you say, there's things that you can do to make something your own. Artwork, rugs, all of that. But structural things, you kind of just have to...
Yeah, you just have to kind of leave it be.
Exactly, yeah. So you've spoken about the view from your living room, the moon, the sunrise. So a real sense of the natural environment around you. It sounds like more than just a space. What does the feeling of home mean to you?
Oh, well, I guess there's a couple of feelings for home for me, because Cork will always be home. And when I'm there, I have such a sense of peace and calm and fun. Like, whenever I go back to Cork, I just have so much fun with my family, with my sister, with my brother-in-law. So that's a very specific kind of home. And I feel like that's where I really am grounded and away from work and just get back to basics. And then for Dublin, that feeling of home is one that I've really, I think, curated and spent a lot of time working on and tweaking. So it's a space that works really well for my work. I do a lot of filming at home. I work from home. So it needs to be really functional and work for that part of my life. And then it also needs to be a space that works for my partner Mike, so we both have our personalities in it. And then it's also a place that I want to spend a lot of time in. I'm such an introvert and such a homebody. I'm at home all the time. This is my first time out this week, so I'm probably my last.
You out?
So I want it to be a place that I really love spending time in, and it has like little things that make it feel nice for me, like really nice mood lighting for the evening, loads of candles. I'm really into fragrance, love plants. Like if I bring home another plant, Mike is definitely going to leave. He's like, we cannot take any more plants in. This year I'm trying to invest a little bit in the garden. So yeah, I guess that's the kind of chosen home, and that has a very different feel, but they're both equally important.
How would you describe your Cork family home? Do you think your parents or upbringing influenced your career choice and interior style?
Well, they definitely didn't influence my career choice. I'm the only one in my family who isn't a teacher. And I think they held out hope there until maybe the last 3 or 4 years. And they're like, okay, she's not going to teach. But they definitely did give me a lot of skills, you know, good communication skills. They both love to write. They're both very creative people, and they're both really into interiors. And looking back now, like I didn't realise that I grew up in a house that, you know, my mum really embraced colour. Like we always had really rich, deep, unusual colours on the walls. And it's only as I got older and, you know, you visit other houses that you're like, wow, like she really was daring, had her own sense of style. My dad can turn his hand to anything. So he's done really nice things in the house. Like he built our Linehan patio. He's done an amazing job in the garden. So they definitely influenced me in that way, I would say. And yeah, I've hopefully brought some of those elements with me. But that house it's like a standard semi-detached, but what they've done with it and how they've made it their own is amazing. And again, not in really, you know, grandiose ways. It's, you know, the colours they've chosen, the artwork. They still have some of my artwork and my sister's artwork from when we were young, which we cringe over, but like that's what makes it a home to them. They're really into natural materials, which I think influenced me a lot. And they wouldn't have said it at the time, but now again as an adult, I can see that they were so into zero waste. Nothing was wasted in the house. They repaired old furniture. They love wood, linens. So they incorporate all those things without calling it like sustainability. So that definitely influenced me and my career in that way, I guess.
Do you think Cork, in a sense, you know, like the forestry, the rich kind of landscape that we have in Cork, do you think that influenced kind of the direction you took as well, and to a certain degree?
It definitely did. And it's one of those things that I think when you grow up somewhere, well, certainly in my case, I didn't appreciate it. It was just, you know, yeah, the mountains were there and the river was there and the ocean was there, and it just kind of was the norm. It was only really when I moved to Dublin, and then I actually moved to New York. And when I was in New York, I thought, oh my God, like I miss the trees, hearing the birds, all of that stuff. So I think whether you've grown up in nature or not, something happens when you step into nature that a part of you just reawakens and you think, oh my God, I've needed this. So it's so important that no matter whether you've grown up in nature or not, you find a way to reconnect with it. Because once you reconnect with it, you're like, okay, I need this every day.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something that's almost built into us as Irish people. Next up, and this is actually very relevant to what you were saying about your plants. So we have our design dilemma. So this was a listener submitted question. So I'm just going to grab my phone from our Instagram question box.
Oh, I'm really excited to hear these.
We got loads of entries, so it was really hard to pick one. But Ellen says, hi Joe, I love plants, but I just really can't keep them alive. Any low maintenance plants you would recommend, and tips on how to keep them alive and thriving?
So I too was a fellow plant killer, and it took me a long time to figure it out. But you know what? I think I wouldn't focus so much on the species, because I know people say, oh, some plants need less maintenance than others. I think they all need a degree of love. But the one tip that a friend of mine gave me that has never failed me is an egg cup of water a day.
Okay.
Because it's just enough to keep the plant happy. You'll never oversaturate it. And just check the soil and see if it's very dry, then it needs a little drink. If not, leave it be. And then just pay attention. Like I got a plant a couple months ago and thought I had her in the most perfect spot near the window, and she didn't like it. So I've moved her a little bit further in and she seems happier there. So I think you need to pay a little bit of attention. It is work. I would also say there's some great apps now that will really help you. So you can scan the plant. They'll tell you what they need. So it does take a little bit of investment, but I would start small. Start with something like a cactus that like you really, really can't kill. and then go for a monstera or something that needs low maintenance, a little bit of sunlight. And the egg cup a day is the top tip. You can't go wrong.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
because
really
I've drowned plants.
Yes.
That's my problem.
It's so hard to know.
Love them to death. You know?
Too much love.
Yeah, I love that you say she as well.
Oh yeah, she's a she.
Do
definitely.
you name them?
I haven't gone that far. There would be too many to remember, and I'm terrible with names as it is. But yeah, that one is definitely a she for sure. Yeah.
Great. I hope that helps, Ellen. So an egg cup a day, please, Ellen. Thank you very much.
Let us know how you get on, Ellen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Send some pictures. Okay, so next up is Behind the Style. We'll dive into Behind the Style, and this is all about you, Jo. We'll explore your personal journey and the formative moments that shaped your approach to interiors. You've mentioned your parents' garden as a magical space and that creativity was a bigger currency than money when you were growing up. How did that shape how you see value in a home and the items that you bring into your space today?
Oh, I think it, again, like you said, it's not about having a lot of money. It's about finding what you really love, incorporating it in a way that gives you a little thrill, whether that's something really small or something big, and having patience. I think that's something that I still struggle with, that my parents really had. You know, they would spend a lot of time thinking about what they were going to do in a room. They'd save up for things. They'd, debate it, and having the patience to sit with the space and figure out what it actually needs and what will serve it is really difficult. And I found that when I moved into the house that I'm in now, I just wanted everything done on the first day. I wanted everything unpacked. But to actually have patience and then build it slowly, it takes a little bit more time, obviously, but it does mean that what you're going to end up with is a space that is really thought through and that really, really works. So that's what I would say I learned from them.
Mm-hmm. And I think a real key word is intentional. So living with intention. So things that are there mean something and you love them for a long time. It's not like you've bought something on a whim and it's, oh, I don't need that, or I don't want it anymore. It's things that are intentional, that represent you, who you are and your style, that you'll be happy living with for a long time. And I've heard you talk about things having a fifth and sixth life. And I think that's so amazing because, consumer wise, there can be a tendency to pick something up and then replace it with something else. So I think by, shopping intentionally and intuitively, it helps people be much happier long term in their spaces.
Yeah, and look, it's a really difficult thing to do. We're bombarded with so many things on social media in the world, and we feel like we need to accumulate things and everything does need to be picture perfect. It's really hard to find the discipline to be like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And I think people often get onto me beating themselves up about having bought something and it doesn't work in a space, and that's really where gaff came from. We'll talk about that. But I think people need to give themselves a little bit of empathy. It's hard in this world to have intention, but it's definitely worth it if you can pare things back and work on it.
Totally. My favourite trend at the moment is de-influencing, because you're right, there's such a thing out there of you need a lemon cardigan because lemon is the colour of the season. So de-influencing I think is amazing because it kind of does remind you, do I need that? Do you know, that kind of way? So I think you're so right. When you've got social media hitting you left, right and centre and everyone's, sharing the latest in the world we live in, there's noise.
So much noise, yes.
So next up, you love bringing greenery and natural materials into your home. What benefits do plants and flowers bring when incorporated into a home?
There's so many well-documented health and mental health benefits. So, they help clean the air. They're a great natural purifier. They, like you mentioned earlier on, biophilic design is such a huge trend, but I actually think it's beyond a trend. It's just something that people are now realising has so many benefits. So just seeing that greenery, especially if you're someone who lives in a city and you don't have greenery all around, or if you're in an apartment, it's great just to be able to see greens and ground yourself with those colours. And then there's amazing studies that show that having flowers and plants really boosts our concentration in a room. If you're in a workspace, having a plant or some flowers can help calm you, reduce stress. So there's tons of physical and health benefits, and they're also a really inexpensive way to spruce up a space, especially if you're like me, a renter, and you don't have a huge budget. So I mean, there's no reason to not. And like that follower said, even if you're not really a plant person, you can do dried flowers. There's lots of ways to incorporate it, but they're such a winner in my books. I love them.
You've mentioned how living in New York influenced your view of interiors. Can you share a specific moment or experience from your time there that really shaped how you think about home design today?
Oh yes, definitely. I was just, when I arrived first, in awe of just the scope of interiors and the mixture. Like industrial design was really big at the time, so it was a lot of like exposed brick and wood and metal, and it had that real kind of that Brooklyn thing was really big. But I went to a flea market once in Brooklyn, and I just remember walking around and thinking, you know, that there was nothing of that scale in Ireland, and how amazing it would be if there was, and that you could find all this gorgeous mid-century furniture and these beautiful vintage, you know, lamps and all this gorgeous stuff. Like, I just felt like there was a place in Ireland for that didn't exist. And I guess when I came back, Caroline, who was my former business partner, and I, when we talked about it, we were like, well, we could create that space but online for people. So that was definitely the biggest kind of pinch me moment, being at that flea market and thinking, how can I bring this back and bring that kind of exchange and secondhand culture back to Ireland?
That's amazing, because you're right, it's not maybe something that Irish people maybe might have even thought about. Like, if you need something, you buy it new. And I heard you talk about seeing like sofas on the side of the street and it's free to a good home. And even that's amazing, because, you know, if you can't sell it on and you don't have something to use it for, then isn't it amazing to imagine, well, someone will want this, so I'm going to put this here and someone will take it.
Completely, that's it. It was such a fluid, I guess, ecosystem there, whereas like I had grown up where like you have your sofa, you have your chair, like that's kind of it forever. Yeah. And in Ireland, people were just starting to get a little bit more experimental, and it was like, well, why couldn't you change up your interiors more often if there was, you know, ways to facilitate that? Yeah.
And with Gaff Shop, have you ever had a favourite item you've seen go up? That's a huge question, actually, off the script.
Oh, there are so many weekly. There have been so many amazing sofas and so many gorgeous pieces that I think, like, why is someone getting rid of it? But there was a beautiful, I'm really into chairs, and if I had a bigger house, I would literally have a million chairs. I just love chairs, Richmond chairs, everything. And there was a beautiful chair that was made in Offaly. Back in the 1950s, there was a chair company here, and it has like a tweed seat and back, and then it's a very structured rectangular kind of armchair, and I just fell in love with it, so I had to buy it. I took it home.
I was just going to ask, is there ever things you see and you're like, that's mine?
If I had more space, I'd take a lot more, but yes, that was one of the pieces that I thought I just have to have it, and it's in my office, and it's kind of the only physical part of Gaff really that it lives with me. So yeah, that was a very special one.
But that's amazing, and you should, I think, have something material to represent that journey, like that business venture that you have, and also Gaff Interiors being that platform. And what I love about Gaff Interiors is it's relatable. Like, I've heard you talk about, how do I paint a wall? Yeah. But that's such a good question, because there's actually a lot to painting a wall. Yeah. And you might not want to ask the question because, that should be obvious. So I think creating that space for people and bringing that relatable, normal content, even how to get on the property ladder. Like, that's such a big question for people in Ireland today, because how do you get on the property ladder? So that's incredible. And how have you seen Gaff's kind of journey over the years as it's grown and developed? What has the growth story been like?
Oh, it's been such a transition, because when we started in 2017, Caroline and I were doing just that. We were like, okay, the magazines are beautiful, but they're skipping like all of the initial steps of how to actually build a place that you love and, you know, find your style and all those things. So it was very much content based. And then we started to branch out into partnerships, which was so exciting at the time. And then naturally, we wanted to create, I guess, the online vintage store or flea market. So it evolved into Gaff Shop. And that really took on a life of its own. And it was just amazing to have these pieces be submitted and have people say, you know, I had this gorgeous sofa that I've had for the last 5 years and I'm moving and it doesn't quite fit in, but this young couple came and they took it from us and we had a cup of tea, and, you know, those stories were amazing. So I guess it went from being kind of us giving the information to it being a community where there's a lot of people, you know, connecting, and Gaff Shop really just facilitates it. And I guess it really buys into my whole ethos of encouraging a circular economy and trying to show people that secondhand is not second best. So the content has, I guess, dwindled, and it's more now encouraging and educating people about how to buy secondhand and how to sell your stuff as secondhand and why it's so much fun and why it's worthwhile doing.
Yeah. So let's talk about what inspires you today. In the mood board, we'll explore how your style has evolved over the years. We're curious about the things you're drawn to right now and how you incorporate feelings of peace and intention into your space. Plus, we'll ask about the design ideas and themes that are showing up on your mood board today. So you've spoken a lot about the feeling of home in the past. How much of your own mood board is guided by a house makes you feel as opposed to how it looks?
Oh, that's such a good question, because obviously how a house feels is super important, but I do think how it looks really plays into that. And my number one thing is I have to have the house tidy. Like it's my big thing. I don't know whether it's because I work at home as well, but like I can't deal with clutter. I can't deal with mess. I will spend at least an hour every single day just tidying everything, making sure everything is reset before I like switch off for the evening. So I think how it looks actually does play into how it feels. Mm-hmm. And if a space isn't clean and tidy and calm, I don't think I could feel like that in a space. And then I do think the aesthetics do matter. You know, I think if you're sitting in a space and you're looking around, it has to be something that is visually pleasing, that, you know, gives you a little, you know, bolt of joy. And I always post the view from my sofa because that's a view that I just love to look at in all weathers, morning, night. So I think it's a balance. And I think if it looks good to you, I think that'll really help how it feels.
Yeah, that's a great answer, actually, because look and feeling, they don't exist without each other.
Totally.
Gaff Interiors and Gaff Shop came from such a relatable moment. You and Caroline Foran asking questions like, how can people actually get on the property ladder? If you had one big learning from that journey onto your founder's mood board, what would that be?
I think I'm actually in the learning right now, because we've had such an evolution with Gaff, and Caroline stepped away from the business in 2022, I think. She just had her son and she didn't have the time to give it. And it just kind of seamlessly continued. I think now I'm at a moment where it feels like the shop is so established, people love using it, but there's so much more that I want to do with it. Like, I really feel there's a space for people to be able to sell their items on Gaff Shop, but after 3 months, if it doesn't sell, what if they could hit a donate button and then we could work with a charity partner to collect that piece and make sure that it's used. So, I've found, like, even in terms of like instant messaging, it would be great to have a quicker way to contact sellers and buyers. Sometimes people just really want to get on it, and emails and private messages can be a little bit slow. So there's a lot I want to do with it, and I feel like I'm at a stage now where it needs probably a little bit of extra time and love. So I guess that's kind of my project this year, is to figure out who I can get to help me bring it to the next level, talk to charity partners and take it up a notch. So I think I'm at that kind of stage. It's been a very easy, lovely, low maintenance journey till now. So yeah, I think this is going to be the learning, I think.
And I love that with the donation option, because at the end of the day, if someone, like that is like, well, I just want this to go somewhere where it's going to make a difference, whatever that difference may be, that's incredible. So I guess stay tuned with Gaff.
Fingers crossed.
More to come. Yeah. So inside scoop, guys. That's amazing. I can't wait to see it grow and develop. And more to come. Exciting. What are the design ideas or themes you're personally drawn to right now? Anything new popping up on your mood board these days?
I'm really into bedding. I've kind of become obsessed with bedding, and reading all the research about our health and its link with, natural materials. I'm like, it's such a kind of forgotten space really in the home. I think we think about all the other spaces, our kitchen, our bathroom, our living room. But I think if you have your bedding and your mattress really, really good, that can actually impact your day. And I love sleep. So I'm really interested in researching like natural bedding materials, natural duvets, natural mattresses, which I know you guys stock, Joya, which is an amazing organic company. But it's such a kind of a new terrain, and that's kind of what I've been exploring. And you can still have fun with the colours and the patterns and your throws and everything. But it's kind of a niche one, but it's something I'm really enjoying at the moment.
Yeah, and like you say, we sleep so much, so your head is literally on the pillow where that bedding is. So you would kind of like to think about what material am I literally sleeping on. And like you said, Joya mattress, that's a really exciting brand. It's made here in Ireland. It's manufactured, it's distributed purely Irish. The materials are sourced ethically. Packaging is fully recyclable.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing mattress, and it's really easy. It just comes in a box, and it's delivered in 72 hours. There you go. Here's a mattress, and it just poofs up, and there you go.
It's
good
magic.
night.
Yeah. And to have those natural materials, I mean, for people who have allergies, if you find this weather really hot, like those natural materials, the linens, the brushed cottons are so breathable, so good for us. So yeah, I would encourage people, if they're thinking of sprucing up their bedding, to really look into the natural material side of things.
It was really exciting for Earth Day, actually. This year we partnered with the Conscious Convert. So we worked with them on a lovely pack with bedding from Conscious Convert. So they're a really good brand to keep an eye on as well.
Cork-based, another great Cork woman, Celia. She's incredible.
Yeah. So what's one thing that never comes off your mood board and non-negotiable when it comes to designing a space?
Wow, probably a non-negotiable is mirrors. I love placing mirrors in a room. I think they add so much light. There are so many different styles, and I love an oversized mirror. So I'm pretty sure in every single room I've managed to put an oversized mirror somewhere, but it really transforms the space. And again, that's something that I think if you're renting, that's something that you can invest in, you can take with you. You know, you can prop it up against the wall. It doesn't necessarily need to be hung. But yeah, mirrors and chairs, I guess, are kind of my little favourite things to keep an eye out for.
Mirrors as well, just in terms of making a room look bigger. Amazing.
Massive difference.
Prop a mirror on a wall and you're like, whoa, this is so much more visual space than there was before. What are your top tips for anyone renting a property? What little things do you recommend to make the space your own?
So we did cover some of them, but again, rugs are great. They can transform a space. Mirrors are great that you can take with you. I love, again, flowers, plants, they're really easy. I've invested in artwork, Irish artwork, and just little prints. Irish artists will do sales and you can pick up prints like really cheaply, have them framed. They're gorgeous, and I often like to buy them at at a special occasion or something, a time that I want to remember and associate that with it. And it's a great way to support Irish artists, and there's so many amazing artists that are affordable. And I think if you don't want to go down kind of the generic art route, which obviously people go down because sometimes it's hard to know what you want, just looking for Irish artists who are just getting started is an amazing way to do it. Going to NCAD or going to one of the graduate exhibitions and just finding something that you love, that resonates with you, buying it, getting it framed nicely. That's a really good one. And again, it's thinking about how can I bring this with me, or how can it evolve with me when I'm maybe not living in this space anymore.
Sustainability is at the heart of so much of what you do, and we're excited to delve into that. In the Eco Edit, we'll discuss the small changes that can have a big impact in our homes. You've said that change doesn't always need to be a huge reinvention. It can be in the small things too, such as changing your energy provider. Can you share a few small changes that have had a big impact for you?
Oh yeah, there's so many. And I love that you said that it doesn't need to be big, because sometimes people are terrified that I'm going to suggest like knocking a wall, putting on solar panels. Like the really small things are the most impactful. So like you said, switching your energy provider to a renewable provider is one of the biggest things anyone can do. And it's generally, you'll save money doing it. It's easy to do. It can be a phone call. I work with Pinergy, who I love, and that's just a no-brainer. And I think, you should always be switching your provider anyway, but there are great providers that offer 100% renewable energy. So that's a really good thing to do. Then there's other small things. Like, I don't know if anyone knows, but every household in the country is entitled to a compost bin now. So if you don't have one in your house, your apartment, you can ask your bin provider or your building manager to get you one. And that will take so much of the organic waste that we go through every single day. All of your vegetable peels, your eggs, your bread, your meat, all of that. And I guarantee you, if you actually keep a little compost bin in your kitchen and you start to put the waste in there, your general bin will go down so much, which is a massive deal. And our waste is another thing that has a massive impact, and it makes no difference if you have 3 little bins. It doesn't matter which one you put it into, but it will be sorted and composted. So that's a really easy one to do, and I finally convinced my parents to do it. I don't know why they were so slow to do it, but anyway, I did. And my mum calls me like at least once a week now, being like, God, I love that compost bin. I'm like, I told you, it was so easy to organise. So that's a really good one to do. Then I think there's things like, switching out your bulbs to LED. If you swap them, you'll save about €6 per bulb per year. So if you're in a house with, 6 or 7 rooms, that really adds up. Using natural materials. If it's time to get a new bedspread, or if it's time to get new cushion covers, look for natural materials. Just trying to, get rid of as many synthetics in your house as possible. And then I think, I love burning candles and incense, but if you're burning those, just make sure that they're natural vegetable wax, soy wax. Not only will they burn better, but they can have a really big impact on your air quality. And especially if you're living in a city, there's, the air quality is already poor. You do not want to be locked in a room with a beautiful candle burning that is emitting really bad fumes. And again, there's so many incredible Irish brands that make beautiful natural candles that you can support. It doesn't make a difference price-wise or anything, but it's something that actually will impact your health and your air quality. So those little tweaks, it's just, when you're going to invest in something new, just stopping and being like, okay, is there a more natural or a better alternative? Is there an Irish alternative to the product that I'm investing in? And I think consumers really underestimate how much power their euro has. And that's really how we vote. So you making those small little choices sends a signal to these big brands and these big companies, and the message is received. So just taking a bit of time to consider, your choices as a consumer is really important.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, it's the small steps, but also I've heard you talk about how, look at, I suppose, as an individual, the differences you can make and the things you can gain yourself out of making. So energy is a big one. And I didn't realise, I was reading an article of yours, an image about Pinergy and how they have their different, their packages based off what kind of energy user you are. So the work from home package or the family package, I did not know that existed. And that's a game changer, because we don't all use energy the same way or as at the same times of the day. And I've been there at night putting on my laundry at 12 o'clock because it's cheaper at 12 o'clock at night. So to know that there's options out there that are catered to you and tailored to you, that's a huge game changer.
Yeah, and again, it's something that we just don't think about. We don't really think about how we're using our energy, but by having an app that tells you when you're using it, by being able to curate how you want to spend it, just giving things a little bit more thought and realising that you have a lot more power, maybe that you don't realise. People always say to me, I feel so powerless in, the climate crisis. I don't know what to do. We have so much power. It's just in little ways, but by taking back that control, you can contribute to really, really powerful change. And
even I heard you talk about, flowers on Valentine's Day or balloons on Valentine's Day.
I'm such a killjoy, aren't I?
No, but I love it because you're so right. It's the things that we don't think about, that it's small changes that are really easy to make, and we can all collectively make a difference. It's not one person needing to be the leader of turning everything around. It's collectively we can all make small changes to make a big difference.
Completely. And I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I think people think I'm some puritanical sustainability queen. I'm always trying to improve, but as you say, it's the small things that you can do that will add up over time.
Yeah, I find your way of talking about it is actually, it really makes it approachable and it makes it tangible and digestible. So I think, your voice in the interiors or the sustainability space is really important, because it's not, a big scary topic of...
Yeah, which it can be. It can be really scary, really intimidating and feel kind of fatalistic and what's the point? And that is so not the case. There's so many amazing things happening, including Home Tree, which I know we're going to talk about, that, are genuinely changing how we do things, what the future is going to look like. There's so much positivity and it's easy to get caught up in all the negativity, but there's amazing things happening. You have to focus on that, I think.
Totally. So that brings us into Home Tree.
Perfect segue.
For your segue. At Easy Living Interiors, we've made changes from how we source our timber to how we run our fleet. And we've also partnered up with our charity, our sustainability partner, Home Tree. So Home Tree, they're based in Ennistimon in County Clare. And Home Tree, it started out in 2014. So they're just over 10 years now since they started. And it actually started out as a community initiative, planting trees. So how we joined on with Home Tree as our sustainability partner is our creative manager, Emma Murphy, was really, really passionate about our business and how we could make a difference. So she was looking into tree planting and she found Home Tree. So we started working with them in 2021 and we started planting native Irish trees on our headquarters in Cork, and we also started doing educational days at primary schools. But more recently, our partnership with them, a really exciting project that we're working on is the Wild Atlantic Rainforest Project. So I didn't know this, and I don't know how many listeners will, but the Western Uplands in Ireland, the natural habitat has the capacity for a rainforest. So what they're doing now is they're reinstating 4,000 acres of land to be back to its rainforest. state.
Oh, they're incredible. And the fact that they do it, and they have such a strong strategy. They're thinking really long term, and they're an incredible Irish charity to support. They're actually when people say to me, how do I offset my flights, or how do I offset a big journey I've taken, I always say go and support Home Tree, because what they're doing is so important. And like you said, rebuilding and reinstating our national rainforest, the idea of that in 50, 100 years is so inspiring. They're incredible. So what a gorgeous partnership to have with them.
Mm-hmm. And I love that a big angle that they are passionate about is stewardship and education. So it's kind of about inspiring people and making people realise the natural habitat that we can have. So when our team went down to their HQ, it was just amazing to see it in person, see the work they're doing. And also they're all really passionate but really have impressive credentials. They've got ecologist backgrounds. Matt Smith is the founder. He's a published author in the space. Ray is their development lead. He's got a degree in conservation. So they're a really impressive bunch with the credentials to back what they're doing. So it's amazing to see their work, and as a business we're really proud to back them and support them. So our partnership with them has kind of gone from tree planting and meeting a tree planting quota to pledging towards the work that they're doing. They have the vision, they know what we need, and they know what needs to be done. So we trust their vision, and we're happy to just kind of be a partner and support them in whatever project is most necessary.
Dream collaboration.
It's really exciting. I get very excited about trees. You've spoken in the past about how sustainability has helped you to find more love for the things that you enjoy and make you who you are, such as fashion and your skincare routine. How did you navigate that journey, such as making changes in your wardrobe or discovering new beauty products?
Oh, well, speaking of being imperfect, I worked in the fashion industry for so long, and I worked in media, and I was really lucky and really spoiled. I got sent so many different items of clothing vouchers. I went on press trips. I was sent, the most amazing beauty brands, and it honestly it really did spoil me. I kind of just had this, ever full wardrobe of things I rarely wore, loads of beauty that I didn't really, have value in, and loved that lifestyle and really enjoyed it. And it was only really when I started to research and hear that a lot of skincare and beauty was tested on animals, and I was completely shocked by that, because I thought, well, if I'm spending a lot of money on these big, expensive, famous brands, why would they be testing on animals? And pulling the thread on that and realising, how much of what we spend our money on and what we're asked to invest in is really the marketing side of things, and that actually how ingredients are sourced, how they're tested can be really murky. That's then what led me to looking at the fashion industry, and then realising the same thing happens there. The people who are working in the fashion industry are at the bottom of the supply chain. How those environments are treated is so poor, our waste in fashion. And I felt shocked, and I felt really disappointed in myself when I started on that journey, because I thought, how can I work in this industry for this long and not really understand anything about it? But it was a really good awakening, because it did, force me to really examine, the beauty industry, the fashion industry, question my motives and my place in it and my contribution to it. And that really set me on the path of saying, well, if I worked in the industry and I didn't know these things, other people definitely don't know them either. And I need to figure out what's happening here, and maybe while I'm figuring it out, I can share that information. So through writing articles or through the podcast. And it really resonated with people, because I wasn't coming from this loftier place. I was still really new to it and really shocked, and, starting from scratch. So that's where it started for me. And I'm still, as I say, there's still things that I'm learning and figuring out, but it's a really slow process. And when I did figure that out about, let's say, my beauty and my skincare regime, what it made me do was really consider, when I ran out of a product, I'd be like, right, I'm going to research now the next moisturizer I'm going to get. Is there an Irish brand? Is there a vegan, cruelty-free option? Where are they sourcing their ingredients? How is it packaged? Can I recycle the packaging? And once you start to go into that, when you go to spend your money, then you are really invested and you really care about it, and your routine and how you use those products has a lot more meaning, because you understand the brand, you know why you've spent the money with them. So it gave everything, my wardrobe, my daily routines, a lot more meaning, instead of just kind of mindlessly consuming, which I had done for years and which I thoroughly enjoyed, don't get me wrong. So it set me on a different path, and it has given, a lot of the things that I do every day a lot more joy and a lot more meaning, and it's been great. And then, as you say, like finding Irish brands that you can support is so brilliant. And I love that in Ireland, like you can support a brand. Like I'm obsessed with Aura Tonics. They make these amazing kind of natural tonics and these gorgeous like drinks and everything. And like you can chat to people in Ireland. You can like talk to the founder on Instagram and you can be like, I loved this. There's a kind of a connection there that is so much nicer than buying into something that you've no idea where it was made, why it was made, who was made, who's getting paid for it. So it just gives a different level of experience.
I love that, because I've seen recently people have started saying you could have a whole makeup bag of Irish products, and there's so many Irish brands coming up, you know, Sculpted by Amy,
obsessed,
Cash Beauty,
obsessed.
yeah. Even
they're really good. That's the thing.
They're really good.
People used to always say to me, "Oh, but you're going to compromise if you go for the cruelty-free one, or if you go for the Irish brand, you're going to compromise." You absolutely will not.
That's it. Irish business is really looking at what we can do next, as opposed to kind of just following the trends and staying in our lane.
Totally.
It's what can we do now to bring things to the next level. Next is our quickfire round. So quick, don't think too much.
Okay.
First instincts.
Okay, I'm ready. Ready.
What's one special item in your home that tells a story?
The special item is my Cork Dublin signage. So before I moved into this house, I had seen it, I'd fallen in love with it, and I was like, oh, I need this house to happen. So I was manifesting hard, and I saw these beautiful Cork Dublin prints by Come On & Co, which is an Irish company, and I just thought they were amazing, and I thought I'm going to buy these, and please God they'll be hanging in the living room. So when I moved in, thankfully I had them and I hung them up, and there's such a talking point because I'm from Cork, my partner Mike's from Dublin, obviously so much of my life is in Dublin, and they're just a lovely kind of nod to the both of us. And whenever people come into the house, they always comment on them. People, if they're in on Instagram, people want to know where I got them. They do every county, and they're really fun, and there's something very Irish and lovely about them, and they're a great talking point.
Oh, I love that. And it's nice that it's both of you. It's both of you. No rivalries here. No. What's your favourite TV or film recommendation at the moment?
I really want to recommend Past Lives, because my sister moved to Korea just in the middle of COVID, which was crazy. She'd always wanted to live there, and she met her husband there, and my family and I travelled to Seoul last summer for her to get married, and it was such an unbelievable experience. I never thought I'd visit South Korea. It was such an amazing city, the coffee culture, everything. It had such an impact on me. And just before I was going to go, I was very emotional. My baby sister getting married, and I hadn't seen her in years, and we were doing this big journey, and I watched Past Lives, and it is such a beautiful film, and it really tells the story of living one place but feeling so connected to another place. And I think whether you're, you know, living abroad in Ireland, or whether you've, like yourself or me, like you've, you know, moved from the place that you've lived from, it's such a gorgeous visceral story, and I'll cry even just thinking about it.
I've watched
so
it.
Good.
Oh, it's
yeah,
so
everyone
good.
should see it. It's amazing.
Bits.
Yeah,
and it is. Yeah, it is a great story of how things stay with you, and things from our childhood that might seem insignificant, we carry them through life. Oh, great film recommendation. Everyone must watch it. What's your go-to food spot? Could be Cork, could be Dublin, could be anywhere.
My go-to food spot is, I think it has to be Tang in town, and they have a couple of branches. They do amazing like Middle Eastern food. They do the best. I'm a pancake is my meal. They do the most amazing pancakes. They do great filter coffee, and they are like a small business, but they do things so well. The staff are so nice. It's such a gorgeous setting to be in, and again, they're really into zero waste. They source things really sustainably, and I've never had a bad meal there. And as a coffee fan, like you, that coffee will send you like rocket fuel. It's amazing. Yeah.
Great food and great coffee.
All you need.
What more do you want? Fantastic. What's your go-to holiday destination?
My go-to holiday destination is New York. And I have been so lucky that I've been able to go back like really regularly, and I have family and friends there, so when I go back I get to do like all the fun parts of the city, but then also like meet up with all the people I love. And I just, yeah, if I had like a magic door that I could just step into New York every couple of days, I would go. I love it.
Do you have a favourite time of year to go? Like, do you love going at Christmas when it's all done up and there's ice skating and the big tree, or any time of year, or summer?
any time of year. I've been loads around like September, October, and that's kind of coming into the fall. That's always really beautiful, and it's still warm and people are still sitting outside. That's always a really nice time.
Amazing. Number one way to spend a day off in the summer.
Straight over to Killiney Hill, run up and down it 6 or 7 times with my dog Harley, then get into the sea on Killiney Cove, stunning, and then into Dalkey for a really bougie overpriced coffee. That's like the dream day.
Love. Any day is the best day with a good coffee.
It is, yeah. And there's something about Killiney and the beach there and the hill that is just, it's just amazing. It's so peaceful. It's always like the perfect temperature there when I go. It's gorgeous.
Lovely. And who's quicker, you or Hurley? Are you dragging Harley up the hill?
No, when I get tired, I just let her like pull me up the rest of the way. She's a tank.
To close out the episode, we'll ask for your best take-home tip. What's one simple change or habit that anyone can adopt to make their home feel more comfortable, welcoming, and in tune with their own style?
God, that's such a good question. I think I would honestly say to everyone to just like go through their drawers, go through their wardrobes, go through all the bags and all the bits and do a really good clear out. And I guarantee you, in the midst of all that stuff, you will find something that you either loved from your childhood or that you bought ages ago and you'd forgotten about, or there's an old photo. There'll be something in there, because I think we have so much stuff that's packed away that we don't see every day and we're too busy to see. But to take out one of those items and just leave it where you can see it, the old photos that'll give you the lol, from the girls' night out, or the painting that you did when you were 4 or 5. I think having something like that you can see every day is a lovely grounding thing. Obviously we want our homes to be Instagram worthy and very beautiful, but having that kind of personal thing that maybe it's the private joke on the fridge that only you get, it's nice to have those things out where we can see them.
I love that. And that's not anything I would ever think of, because you're so right, there's things that we put into storage and if you look,
you just forget about them.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a little scrapbook of like the things you've experienced. Concert tickets.
Oh my God, exactly.
I cannot throw out a concert ticket. I won't do it.
But it's how cool. Take all those, make a little nice mood board with them. Things like that we just pack away that are lovely, that remind us of a good time.
That is my favourite tip I've ever heard. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to get into?
No, just thank you so much for having me. I love the podcast. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. So great to have a Cork business leading the way when it comes to minimising your environmental impact, supporting businesses like Home Tree, supporting Irish businesses. You guys are amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Really glad to have you on, Jo.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors. You can hear all the news, including links to more information, in the description area of this podcast. Please share our show with a friend who might enjoy it. Simply search Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors on Apple, Spotify or YouTube. This podcast is produced by justpod.io for Easy Living Interiors.